Testing, 1, 2, testing. Testing, 1, 2, testing.
All right, welcome everybody to the Facilities Committee meeting of Fallbrook Regional Health District on April 8th, 2026. So, we've called ourselves to order. Do we have any public comments? Anybody on the line?
Nobody online. I didn't receive anything via email, and Roy's saying nope. He's about to sugar high on.
Annabelle, before you leave, there's a little basket of candy back there too.
Okay, good job.
Go with her Dr. Pepper, which we're both coveting, right? So, sorry. I'm squirreling.
So our first item, discussion item, is about building a room 2 at the Wellness Center.
Yep, this is the teaching kitchen.
We, after the last meeting, I believe, we let you know that we had just finally gotten clearance from the county on our minor deviation from the major use permit regarding the right turn only exit sign, which has been in place since we finished the major use permit. However, our previous land consultant apparently didn't notify the county, and so this had been hanging out there. Teresa went and took some pictures. We sent that to them. They sent back oh, the sign looks fine, but could you paint on the ground coming to the sign right turn only? So Teresa went out, took another picture that shows it's already there. We sent that to them and they go, okay, that's great. This is not a problem. You don't need an encroachment permit. So I've reached back out to our county permitting and said, okay, this is complete. What's our next step? I reached out to the architect with Encinitas Design Group, Todd Coleman, and said, can you help us move forward with the next piece that you have through this minor deviation? So right now we're just waiting for that one county piece to close out and for the next piece to step up. The plans are essentially already ready to go, but we were waiting for the county to clean up these other pieces before that could be put in for like official plan check. Good. So hopefully June-ish, we should maybe start being able to do actual final plans, corrections from the county. And then once those plans are completed, then we'll put forward an RFP for a general contractor to work with the architect to actually do the build out of the commercial kit or the teaching kitchen.
Just the kitchen, right?
Just
not the other area.
Right, not the main room, but that hallway middle area. That'll include the renovation of all those restrooms, changes to the mechanical room, and then of course the whole teaching kitchen. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that will be the much larger project. That'll be the largest project we've done over there to date. Yeah. And so we should anticipate that being in the 3 million mark, maybe. Okay. Maybe. I mean, that's my ballpark. I could be wrong, but with the costs that we've seen on the rest of construction being significantly higher than they were just a few years ago, I think that's something.
And this is a lot of work, right?
This will be a lot of work.
Well, good. Keep us posted.
Absolutely.
Does that include appliances too?
It should because he had originally in his call outs. That will obviously be a separate purchase from the actual build out, but The appliances are actually less than what the construction.
And is there a county certification?
No, because we're doing a teaching kitchen, not a commercial kitchen.
Okay,
Ah,
good.
We are not doing a commercial kitchen. We do
repeat.
not want to do a commercial kitchen, because then that puts us into a whole different food handler certification, whole different world. Because we don't plan to use it for that format, there's no reason to try to go down basically a paperwork rabbit hole. It'll have all the other pieces, but we don't have to worry about some of the monitoring for refrigeration and such, because we're not gonna be using it to store foods and things of that nature
So
generally.
does that mean that it won't be available for rent?
It
in
can
the
be,
capacity of
if,
food wise?
if somebody wants to use it for an event and their caterer is coming in, there's no problem with that. If someone, say, wanted to rent it to do a commercial food product, then the answer is no. Right? The idea isn't for it to be a commercial venture, it's to be for community programming. Yeah. Good.
All right. There's no other comments about building a room 2. Let's move to building B.
All right.
Education room 6.
Okay, so in our packet, I believe we had a proposal. We'll skip over to that next one. So this RFP was put out. We had it on our website. We submitted it to, I think, 4 general contractors that were on our list. We only received 1 bid, which is not surprising. It's considered a smallish job, which in the past has been part of the problem why we couldn't get bidders. This bidder is Classic Handyman Services, MPMC, right? That's their official name. This is the group that we're already contracted with to be doing some of our various maintenance. They're the ones who also won the contract for our exterior restrooms. So we know them, we're comfortable with their work. So they submitted a bid for 198,000, 934. Good things, I can't see that. So just under the 200,000 mark. And what that does is update the 2 restrooms, all new flooring, creates a storage area in that weird kind of hallway space. And then we had had some original plans for that space when we thought we'd be being able to put in that folding wall between room 3 and room 6, where we'd be able to create this sort of prep room. Conversation with the general contractor, because those restrooms were so long and narrow, he was talking about shortening them, bringing them up. We can still build in that prep room behind the bathrooms, so that if we are doing a class that has food, there's a small room that's not a bathroom. If we're doing a maternal class, there might be a breastfeeding room in there. So it creates just this extra usable space that would be dead space as far as the restrooms. The restrooms are single occupant, gender neutral. So by putting that in there, really in some ways, it saved us a little money from the first option, because the putting in the wall shortened up the expense of the tiled floor, which was a more expensive piece. So at this point, you can see that there's be a new prep room. It shows that there's a separation of the wall there, that under where it says new prep room, that wall would actually stay in place. So it doesn't involve any wall movement, just creating a new.
Or the new one?
So these 2 restrooms.
Yeah.
Right now, they go all the way to this back wall. So what he's gonna do is this back wall actually stays. And so he just creates a space here. It's about it's about 7 foot. Wasn't that about right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
6, 8 or something like that. But it basically creates a nice open space back here for us. And then he just puts in this wall. These toilet plumbing were already going to have to be moved. So it doesn't create a new expense for us to have this wall in space. And because it gives us extra usable space, it made sense to look at that. So this classroom will have all new flooring. We will no longer have the folding wall partition. Obviously, we've already said no to that.
But this does give us a good opportunity to have this room have a little bit more usability with this other little prep room. So that bid is $198. We do have it on the board agenda this evening, since I was hoping, since the committee we'd already kind of talked about this renovation for a while. The pricing is consistent with what we're seeing in construction right now, so.
Good.
Unless you all want us to put it back out to bid, I would hope you would make a recommendation to move it forward.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think moving it forward
It will be the last
for that building.
room in that building, finally. So,
Let's go.
I did have a question, 'cause I saw that when we did the ribbon cut,
Mhm.
the bathrooms, we took a peek of it.
yes,
Does they have changing tables?
they will have changing tables
Would these
installed.
ones still
These
have?
will also. Yeah, they'll have them installed afterwards. They have to put in all the petitions and everything, so it's literally a last minute finish. But yes, we're putting in changing room, or changing, the folding
Holding ones, yeah.
ones, in both the men's and the women's. As well as both of these, because they're gender neutral.
When do we expect them to begin?
Oh, yeah.
For this, they could probably, we've been keeping them pretty busy.
Yeah.
Once this is approved, we will have to put forward the contract to Alex. Once he's got that clarified, we send it back to Peter. I sign, we could probably say within a month and a half, depending about where he is. Well, with that other project and then
Yeah.
probably maybe a month and a half before they could start.
Not bad, though.
No, it's not bad. And I would venture to guess, he mentioned that this to them is an easy project, maybe another 2 months at most to finish this project. Yeah.
One.
So we're finally up to speed now on process. Working with this vendor has turned out to be really, really nice.
Yeah.
The exterior restrooms came in without change orders, came in early.
No issues, no.
Nothing.
And
They've
then we
been,
don't think also anticipate any issues flooring, any of that, okay.
The nice part on the flooring that is in the classroom area now, it's an old style, tile, not tile.
laminate.
Linoleum.
Linoleum.
So,
Go further
the,
back.
yeah, I was like, what's that stuff called? He'll be able to float the new flooring across it, so he doesn't have to tear out the old flooring. Which actually saves us quite a bit of
Yeah.
money. The bathroom are tile floors, so those do have to be replaced,
But they're small, so,
but they're smaller. And by
yeah.
shrinking the size of the bathroom, it actually saves quite a bit of that tile flooring cost, which is why
What
that
is the
prep
big
room.
area, since it still has a bit of tile, right?
So that new prep room will actually have the same flooring as the classroom.
Okay.
So that'll be easy for them to go across that threshold and build that flooring.
Always thought that float with that meaning is weird.
It basically just sits on top of it, and because of the way the laminate locks forward and the tile is right over the concrete, it actually, the tile will serve as a moisture barrier. So it's actually a nice benefit, if you will, for us.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else from us? We have approved it,
When
right?
we get to the board agenda, you'll see it's item E3. It says staff recommendation to approve, but I'll bounce it back to you and say facilities is aware and is hopefully also making this recommendation.
In fact, we are.
Awesome. And that will really finally allow us to say that building B is done substantially. We still have to put new gutters on, but those are not structural the same way the rest of the building has been. Yeah.
Right.
Yay.
Yay. So thank you for that.
Next.
Agenda?
Oh, we can stay on the pretty picture.
Okay.
Anyway. Sorry. So the final one, which you're both a little bit aware of because we were at the ribbon cutting last week,
is the partnership with Mission Resource Conservation District and the Health District for the installation of an educational pollinator garden. We had already been talking about what to do with this space. We met with the folks at Mission Resource. They provided this initial drawing for us as well as the plant list. They're currently working with Landscape One, which is a certified payroll vendor, which is hard to find in landscaping.
Yeah.
Very hard to find in landscaping. And so they're working together right now to bring forward an actual estimate for us. The first estimate had too many unknowns in it, so we kicked it back to them regarding irrigation costs and some of the stone and boulder costs. Things weren't really fleshed out because we just had the conceptual. I gave them the preliminary go-ahead to move forward with the conceptual once we had some better clarification on the costs for the other pieces. The part that is really helpful, by working with Mission Resource on this, they have some existing grants that they're going to be able to put forward to help underwrite the cost of the plant and mulch materials here, because it is a pollinator garden. So that won't cost us as much as if we had just gone with the landscape company ourselves.
Yes.
So I should have that for the May facilities. And again, that literally finishes everything that goes from building B. You'll also see next month, we're already going to bring that. We're working on a contract right now with West Coast Arborists, another prevailing wage DIR vendor, finally getting them all in there, to do the tree maintenance that will be from the front of Mission, runs all along our neighbors with the chickens, all those trees from there to the back of building B. 48 trees, is that what it was?
Yeah.
There's 48
Yeah.
trees in there. And so they're gonna come in, they're gonna take out one or two that I think are diseased or structurally insufficient, something they call, basically they won't fall down. So they're gonna take those out, trim the canopy up, clean out some of the leaf litter and smaller debris, so that area will be less challenging for us. Trim it back also so that we have less of it leaning onto building B where with the leaf litter into the gutters. So overall, that will clean that up. That will probably be about $28,000 to do that, which is a big investment, but those trees haven't been trimmed. I think the last time we did anything with those trees are when you and I had to cut down a couple of those giant pines that were about to fall down.
The two of you cut it down?
Well, I mean, we didn't cut them down, but Roy helped facilitate making sure that those trees came down.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because it was after one of the rainstorms, there was a giant branch, and we were looking at the trees, and it was like, here's the tree, here's the building. Okay.
Yeah.
Those were.
So remind me where that is on the property.
Sure. So again, let me stand. This is what happens when I eat sugar before a meeting. This is building B right here.
Okay.
This is the new ADA ramp.
Yep.
This is building A. And then this is the chicken neighbors. Right along there.
Okay.
So what that does is when you're in the parking lot right here, it really allows you this very visually attractive space, very accessible for this butterfly trail, which would be part of the educational piece with Mission Resource Conservation District.
Yeah.
And just really give this nice little spot to sit, really kind of tie the place together.
Yeah.
This space really, I don't know how many conversations we had about what could we put there. And between the neighbors and the street noise and the parking lot, it was loud. It was an odd slope. We were going to have drainage issues for anything we decided to put there. If we were going to put anything for kids, we had talked about a playground kind of thing. We would have had to put in a pretty significant retaining wall as well as fencing. And it just wasn't fitting. So then we started talking about how the pollinator garden that's at the front of the center really came in nice and is really pretty. And we thought, well, why don't we do the same thing? And then when we met with the conservation district and they talked about could they be able to use some of the space for pollinator education,
Wow. Mhm.
then they could also use grant funds to help underwrite it. Seemed like a no-brainer.
Within the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm thinking about you and Roy cutting down the trees. A landowner, because it was, overhanging stuff and dangerous on his property, cut down the trees, and some governmental entity then fined him $70,000. Now, there was then a lot of discussion and stuff, and I think he wound up a fine of $7,000. But wow.
I wonder, was it because were the California oaks, were they supposed to be preserved or?
Is it on?
Yeah, the front.
I don't know, but
I wonder-
it just would amaze me that there can be some type of regulations on your own property.
Yeah,
It could also be, because there's a program, I believe, that if you buy a certain type of tree, you get a discount.
Huh.
So maybe he went through that and then moved it, or the new owner did it, I don't know.
Whatever.
It could
I don't know,
be, it could be
but-
something interesting.
but this is one of the reasons I think us moving toward professionals, official arborists, they know what they should and should not be doing at what time of the year. So we've walked through this now twice with this entity to make sure that, we're doing it appropriately. We will be actually bringing in a few other trees. So we've got those trees along the edge, but this new planting, in the center there, just to the up and left of that yellow tree or yellow circle, will be a California oak. So which we have several others on the property, but that will really kind of allow us to tie this back in.
Are California oaks different than live oaks?
No, I think it's the same thing.
It's a
It's
coast live oak.
post live oak.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Good. So they provided us some really great information. Those QR codes that were on the original plan allowed us to identify some of the plants. Obviously, they had those called out, so it's nice to be able to see what they look like. This mix will have evergreen as well as some different annuals and perennials, so that at no point is it just completely dead, but it does allow for plenty to go dormant during the winter season and then spring back.
We don't have winter seasons.
Well, in
Winter-like.
theory, winter-like, yes, winter adjacent.
Rachel, does it dead end on the top right corner?
So on the top right,
That kind of the circle is.
up there, you'll see it kind of stops in that space because that's where the back end of building A and the new demonstration kitchen will be. And we wanted to make sure that they didn't plant anything where there's going to be construction. There'll be a doorway back there. So none of that space is included by where the kitchen spot will be.
Would it make sense at some, to have it connect to the sidewalk that is going to building A?
No, because we already have the handrails there that stop you from walking in
Okay,
that space.
got it.
Yeah,
I was thinking maybe somebody might want to walk that way to get to the building instead of using the ADA ramp. But
yeah, but there's already handrails and walkways. The other part is that light gray that you can kind of see snaking across here. This whole area here, this is actually a dry riverbed walkway. So this is very rocky to manage the runoff from this flatter area where the drains are. It's not really going to be walkable. Plus the idea is to allow that to be native habitat. And then the more you contain people, the less they can tromp on things. That's why this will be sort of like a decomposed granite basically walkway across here and then up into the seating area, but this is all rock. And then again, this is where that building will be. They're gonna actually bring this part down a little bit on the revised plan, so that we're not messing with anything that's gonna be in the, construction zone for the demonstration kitchen. We may end up coming back later and doing some fill-in and tying in the back side of that building to the front, but that'll be well after the other constructions. And we'll bring forward that proposal likely next month. But we wanted to give them time to make sure that they finished up the design correctly, got us better pricing. It was a push initially to try to see if we could build it into this spring planting season. But then it was, 100 degrees and everybody's like, this is not the regular kind of, let's wait and see. Plus with our construction of this and construction of that, it's like, there's no need to rush this. Yeah. Right. So that partnership is coming and we're excited to.
Yeah, I like the idea of what makes sense, that gray part that it's rocks, because at first thought it was a pathway, but it'll be a good idea to have that.
And it matches up at the front of the building. There's another dry creek bed runoff area. There's another one up there, so it'll be consistent with that. Yeah. We only really see water running down it a few times a year, but when it does, it runs off a lot. You'll see Teresa's had to work with the current landscaper a lot this year to redirect some of the water that when it came down fast and was eroding some of this space. So
I was gonna suggest if it was no water there, but I know we can't have water, fishes and all that stuff. We have a little pond and my daughter likes to play with it, and I just saw pictures where you actually can paint rocks. And it's like a little river. You just paint it all blue. It looks like it. It's just a rock. I was like, that's just a idea. So she's at home painting blue rocks right now. It's a cute, because we don't see water
Very
like
cute.
streaming and stuff as much here.
you never know. We may have some
That'd be fun.
rock
Yeah.
painting thing and we can go out and place
See
them in
little
that
river,
area.
little fishes.
Yeah, but no live fishes because they would.
Yeah, that's what they little rocks, and we'll have some
That would be
fishes.
cute,
right?
Painted fishes.
Painted fishes.
Painted fishes, painted rocks.
Yeah.
I know
very cute.
many years ago now, I think it was the first year I was here. The Youth Advocacy Coalition or Mental Health System. It was one of our grantees. One of the, they were a drug and alcohol diversion kind of program that they did with younger kids. And one of the activities they did was rock painting. And so we had for a while,
Oh, okay.
how many rocks? 20, 30?
Well,
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
Mm.
Just me now. Of these rocks that these kids had painted everywhere. Like they were just everywhere. And they've since, I think, now filtered out into the community. But it is kind of a cute, fun idea. So who knows? It may be a family offering. Something to do at Lotteria night. Lotteria night. Okay, sorry, I digress.
Yes.
That was all I had for discussion items.
Anything? Annabelle?
No.
I will bring up for future agenda items. We are still battling the elevator pit. Every time it rains, we get water in the elevator pit.
Wow.
And that's because when this building was built, it was built into a hillside. And either, I don't know, we won't suppose, but somehow the waterproofing on the outside of the pit was either incomplete, failed, wasn't done, who knows? This was obviously sometime in the early 80s. Since then, I believe when the CHS was in operation and generally was in this building, somebody did try to seal the inside of the building, inside of the pit. Either way, we have now been fined 2 years in a row because what happens is we find there's water in the pit from our regular monthly elevator guy. We call the plumber and the elevator guy gets here, they pump out the water. And then once a year, the elevator is inspected by the state. Now, it just so happens this year that it rained. We drained the pit. It rained again. And then the inspector showed up.
Of course.
So, I am working with our contractor right now to identify an option for the pit. The state does not allow for a surface level sump pump. It would have to be embedded outside of the existing elevator pit. We're reviewing all the potential options for this, including just doing a sealing of the concrete bricks of the current pit, knowing that that will eventually fail. It is not a long-term solution. The only real long-term solution is to completely excavate the hillside and the concrete and everything on the backside here. At which point we might as well demo the entire building, because that's what, I mean, it's not a viable option. So we are looking at that. I'm trying to figure out what the options are. I'm also going to investigate what it would take and what the regulations are. This is a public building, but all the services that we could offer to the public in this building can be done on the first floor. If we had an employee that was disabled and needed an accommodation, we can also still accommodate in this other office. So I'm trying to identify if we could make a case to the state that we don't need that elevator and it won't be used and it's marked out of service. Is that enough?
You'll be inspected?
No, because it would basically just be closed off. It would be turned off. Basically, we wouldn't have an elevator in this building, which is fine by me at this point. I
I
don't,
knew you guys had one, because when you go to the top, you see it,
right,
but when you enter, you don't see it.
right. Most people, I mean, it gets used maybe once a month, and that's mostly because we're moving chairs around in the building, and instead of carrying them, we just shove them in the elevator. But for a person to use the elevator, I can think 2 or 3 times when someone used it to come to the second level, and that was when we were making the Zoom room available upstairs. And we had a disabled woman who needed to do a court hearing. And so we made that space available. We could do the same thing down here if necessary. I think that's a bit of a Hail Mary solution. Depending on what the cost is to come back and seal this elevator pit. Our general contractor is looking at options where we may be able to put in a potential sump pump on the outside that then drains to the outside. There are some limitations to that as well. Just letting you know, we're looking at that, but we did get a citation. It's like a $250 fine. Not much we can do, other than having every single time it rains, have the plumber show up the next day. And then depending how much rain is in the hillside, it's going to seep through and they may have to come back weekly. Well, the $250 fine is worth more than paying a plumber and the elevator company to be here at the same time.
Yeah.
So just know that that is a challenge with the facility that has been ongoing, that we are actively trying to address this year.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Is there a way to put a drain? Look at that. Not at all.
Not unless we want to tunnel out and tear up the concrete again. Because the elevator pit is lower than the hillside. We can't get it to drain up, so you have to put in a pump, but they won't allow you to do a surface mounted pump. So there is this potential of being able to put something on the outside of the building that could potentially pump it out. We're looking into what if that can happen. And there's not a lot of elevator specialists. So the elevator company, I've had this conversation with like hey, do you know anybody? And they're like, yep, no. Huh, well, that lot of good you're doing me. So, we are attempting to find a solution.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone? All right, if not, we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chocolate is causing my voice to do weird things.
It's because it's sugar on your throat. Your throat's like, I know I'm not supposed to eat this sugar.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing at the top.
It won't mess.
That's why it's down here instead of just in my office. Because I already ate 3 pieces.
I always ferment, I used to, not eat sugar, did not go well, so I don't do anything anymore.
I'm not supposed to eat sugar because it can upset my stomach, but I don't really care because I'm weak.
No one is supposed to eat sugar.
Yeah, well, that's just
In
not gonna
moderation.
happen. Let's see. D is 3. B is 4. Howard gets booted.
Down the way.
I just have everybody by zone. It was easier than trying to figure out who should sit where.
Right.
And then I kept changing it every month and you guys all kept going like, I don't know where to go.
What's new, Roy?
Doing taxes,
Is it all public or is there?
Yeah.
Oh,
tons of them.
not that much of a
When
challenge.
you say tons.
Well, there's Reese's
Do other people.
bunnies and then there's some Crunch bars and.
Leftover hot, Easter
Getting
candy.
masters in
No, I mean, I went to CVS to buy it.
cinematography gets every
This was
place, huh?
purposeful on my part.
You like sour gummy Skittles.
I'm a Nerds fan.